Yep. Now is we have the sixth movie right here. The sixth movie is to get more code to get each element of the node. With I figure out that the scripting to resolve this is we'll first put the workflow name, and then I'm going to put in a greater than sign to say that this workflow name will use these nodes, and yeah, I think equal sign will be better, and then you say node 1 comma node 2 and so forth. So you'll be using the equal sign before this, so the two split will be first with the equal sign. Now the workflow name will be used to create this parent model data under the AD workflow, and the node will all come to WF node, and then we will look to the other tabs, which is the transition in between the nodes. So this will create the model for the workflow editor, which does not do this initial node creation. Alright, so the first thing to split, like we said, it will be the equal sign, and it's not workflow elements we're talking about. It will be the workflow workflow, let me call it workflow and notes. Try to make it as clear as possible. So then we're going to split it further. Or first we're going to detect that if workflow and this control space dot length is let's say if it equals 0, then we return, do nothing. Otherwise we do another split. String nodes will be equals to 1 WF and nodes. The second part of it dot split. Okay, right, and then we will iterate and you start creating the nodes, and we first check whether the workflow existed, and it will be in the this value to pass for the name will come from WF and nodes 0, which is the name before it. Okay, so if it's detected that so if this is not, check WF equals null, and you create a new one. Okay, cannot be result of variable. Oh, this must be captured within brackets. Here we are. So if it detects, it cannot detect that this is then it's a new one, then you create it. Otherwise, else, put in the bracket is safer. No, there's no otherwise. We'll just make check. I hope the reference will be correct here. Let's see when we are debugging it. So you now have the check workflow goes to the workflow, so this should be a new workflow. okay, make it less ambiguous. Okay, so now we have got this workflow. So workflow dot set name. Well, this should have been set, and if it's new, then you set the name. Otherwise, the name is not needed. And yes, is the first part. It's been set, and then you should save it. So if it's there, yes, you continue to make notes, so we can leave it. But here, and later, we will save it somewhere. Let's see if we can get it down. A lot of this proper spacing. Tabbing, marking. So you get the idea that we are creating data model. It means we assume that you have a deeper understanding of the entity relationship. So the safe should be here. Is the workflow recognized? And save, yeah. So who's calling this workflow? Okay, it's been called. If it's null, you do it, and there may be something here. You shall see. So here is beginning of the code, and we start to do it, and then we'll move to the node. As we understand, the first on the right side will now go as a node. And so we will let this at here and go for the node. Later we'll move it around if we are missing any steps. So we're going to create a workflow. This is because I already know the model, and I'm going to look if this exists, and let's mouse over. Yes, it is not recognized. Create class. So this will mean you have to now trace the trick is to look either into the database or into the other model classes in the core. Here is the core, and look for where is the node workflow. Here it is. MWF node. Okay. So that's it. Over. If you get it wrong, then we could correct it. Now we're going for a structure of logic, and this is just scratching quick and dirty. Okay. New query. Syntax. Table name. And column. And this is the name. No big deal about this. It's doing it for years, so kind of efficient there. Knowing what to do next. So this kind of stuff happens when you do things day in, day out. Okay, it should be a name, so we are going for the node, and it's on the right side, WF nodes split, so it should be in a loop basically. Okay, so we've got the structure there. Now we have to handle that there is a one or many or more than one, right? So you have to figure out the logic and then put this in the loop and start iterating and start forming the nodes. And each node you have to then set the transition to each other as this either the node next or I believe it's the node next as transition. So this involves studying the present core code, and we'll show in the next video how do you trace further these core models, and then you will be able to code further here. So in the next video I'll be getting some code ready, and I'm just telling you what I'm going to do next so that you won't feel you miss it, and I'll show you the code that I've put in, then we will continue from there.